And now, just a few days ago, Dr. Morris returned from his latest trip, which was to Ukraine, Georgia, and Armenia. It's going to be a great joy for us. It's always one of our big treats, I feel, to hear Dr. Morris and to hear from him all that he's been doing and get a feeling for how the movement is doing in all these countries. So now, Dr. Morris, a warm welcome to you, and please go ahead and inspire us all with your achievements and how you've been seeing and enlivening the movements in all these places you've been to.
Thank you very much, Dr. Swan, Minister of Communication of Maharajaji, and congratulations on all the great work that you are doing, connecting everyone on earth to the great achievements of Maharshi's movement everywhere. We all appreciate it so much. Thank you. Jai Gurudev. Then I drove from Tbilisi to, I was driven from Tbilisi to Yerevan, and that's about a 6-hour drive. But on the way we stopped and had an incredible meal of fresh Armenian food in a wonderful small hotel, where the apricots you were eating could be seen growing on the trees out the window. It's just that much freshness. And on the way to Yerevan, there is a great lake called Lake Swan, which is seen here. And so all the siddhas, about 20 of them, waited patiently for me to show up. And we went out on a boat ride. So that was very great fun. And we have the YouTube of the cake cutting. Can we do the YouTube one now? And I find that everywhere I go, and I'm sure Roger Kingsley finds the same thing, that when you go, people who are devotedly practicing their program and teaching as much as they can, they are so delighted, so grateful and so thrilled that somebody came and is telling them the stories. And we went out on the boat on the lake. Lake Swan, it reminded me of Lake Tahoe in some ways, because Maharshi said Lake Tahoe, where he did part of the Bhagavad Gita translation and the Brahma Sutras, is a very special place in California, in the United States, because it's a big lake and a deep lake at high altitude. And Lake Swan, I think, is at 2,000 meters above sea level, and it's a vast lake, huge lake. And so that should be, if you press the little go button, that should be a... Yeah, there we go. So this is on the boat, and we're trying to get to light the cake, because light the light on the cake, because of course dashing across the lake in the boat, the wind was rather strong, so it was hard to light the light. But in the end we got it done, and we cut the cake, and this is the beautiful lake. And just as we arrived there, the sun came out and brilliantly shone on the lake. It was very moving, and I told the whole story of how the original teachers from the United States came there to teach in Yerevan. I can't tell that whole story tonight, but they were, and helped me, they were Raja Wynn, and then Maureen joined after some time, Dr. Chris Kroll, Henry Clark, Dr. David Oram Johnson, and Rhoda joined later on, and then also Greg Minokian and Richie Quinn and Linda Quinn joined later on.
And someone from Colorado, Dr. can't remember his name.
So anyway, that was the basic group, and I was telling the story and how they, we had sent them, and we'd been invited by a Mr. Golden to send them there, and all of that. And as I said each name, different members of the group on the boat would go, yes, my teacher. So, for example, Svetlana Golstian, who is the national leader, was taught by Raja Wynn back then. And the stories about the teaching at that time are just amazing. When we were just chatting together when I was in Yerevan, they told some fantastic stories. One story was that in the Soviet era, all of the buses and the taxis stopped at 11 o'clock. But the initiators would still be initiating at 11 o'clock. And they would feel that they had to go home, because how were they going to get home? But people would beg them, please, no, I want to be instructed tonight. And then people would offer to find cars so they could go home and all of that. So another person said that a famous surgeon of the whole Soviet Union decided his whole team of doctors should learn transcendental meditation, and he said that you can either learn or you're fired. And and then when they got into, and then somebody said, well, they heard about the fruit, flowers, and new white handkerchief, and they said they were uncomfortable with that. And he said, fine, then you're fired. And so once they got into the hall, he locked them in, so they had to stay. There was a lot of things like that. It was just wild enthusiasm, of the nation. And really, it was just thousands, and then 30,000 people, 1% of the country learned them in a couple of years. And from there, we were able to go to Moscow, and then the whole of the Soviet Union, 150,000 learned. Armenia was like the golden door that opened into the Soviet Union. And of course, one of the main reasons was 7,000 were flying together at Maharishi Nagar. 3 times Ati-Rudra Abhishek was being done there. And 3 weeks after they got there and started teaching, the Berlin Wall fell. So Armenia has an enormous role in the history of the world, you could say. And it's very critically positioned between Georgia, Russia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Iran. It has a border with Iran. So to build up a big group there, which is what we now are working towards, will be a fantastic thing to accomplish. And I think with Raja Win's invitation, he invited me there, and Maureen are giving total attention there. There are great opportunities. In the education meeting I had there were 2 schools, prominent private schools that really want to introduce the program. We also spoke at the Pedagogical University, and that's the main teacher training university. And one of the deans there, this happens a lot, one of the deans there, it's like Nepal and the earphone, that thing. One of the deans is a younger man, and he said, yes, I learned in primary school from visiting American professors. So it's just that, the 30,000 haven't disappeared, they're there. So, and many of them, also the wealthiest man in the whole of Armenia, who owns a TV. I went on TV for half an hour, and the owner of the TV station is the wealthiest man in the country. And he learned TM in high school when he was when the team first came. So it's a good situation, and I think we're going to see lots of interesting things. When I was being interviewed on TV, by the way, I'm almost done in just a second. We have to close, but. The young lady, there was a man and a lady interviewing me on this national TV show, and she got so interested, she started speaking to me in English. She forgot to have it translated into Armenian. So, that again was the interest, people just very interested. So I think some great awakening. And the main thing, there's a young man there also who wants to join Purusha, who's working to get his advanced techniques at every last possible moment, the very first possible moment that he can, so he can get his cities and get onto Purusha. So that was very inspiring too. We can switch back to the slides, I think, now. And so the whole thing, and all the people there, they just love to sit and talk about Maharishi. They just love anything about Maharishi. You could talk to them for 12 hours straight about Maharishi, and nobody would move. That's the way it is. I did speak for that amount of time over the course of several days. It was very, very touching. So can we go back to the slides, and then we'll just finish. So I spoke there. This is a South African wildebeest, right? I always show the Maharishi Invincibility Institute in South Africa, and this is one of their wildebeests. Keep going, yes. On their nature reserve. Yes, keep going ahead. So this is Svetlana Golstian, who is a fantastic translator, since she's a professor of English literature at the university. And she was, as I mentioned, initiated by Raja Win, She's a very dedicated national director. She's also going to come on the course with Dr. Susie Dorbeck and Dr. Ashley Deans at the beginning of August to become trained for consciousness-based education. Pedagogical University also asked that we should send back professors to speak to the whole university when the university is back in session in September. So I think there's a lot, next slide, there's just a lot that is going to happen in Armenia, and especially the development of a group of yogic flyers. I wanted to also let everyone know that this is the new video building that is starting to be constructed here, and this will be the home of all the important video functions, all the tapes, all the Maharshi channels, all the celebrations, all the editing, all the courses and translations. And this is just on the left, as you, in the corner far on the left as you come in to the main campus here. And I mention it because, next slide, final point, on the 22nd of July, on Guru Purnima Day, this medal is going to be given to the individuals who have preserved all of Maharshi's tapes. And they are, of course, Alfred and Gertrude Burke, who have been looking after Maharshi's tapes on a completely volunteer basis without payments for 40 years, more than 40 years. And then our great Purusha here who have been doing all the work for the digitization, like Dr. Peter Peterson, Dr. Horst Scheibner, Dr. Steve Glickman, and Rajnishji, and he'll receive the medal, but that will be on behalf of, he's done the huge work, but the whole Indian video expert crew here who have been supporting him, it will be an honor of them as well. So I wanted just to mention that. Back to you, Dr. Swan. Jai Gurudev.